I found the investment statement wedged between cookbooks on the top shelf. It had slipped down behind Julia Child's Mastering the Art of French Cooking, which I'd bought for Marcus 30 years ago when he said he wanted to learn classical techniques. The paper was crisp, official. Vanguard Brokerage Services. Account holder, Marcus Chen. Current balance, $2.7 million. My hands started shaking so badly I had to set down the mixing bowl I'd been holding. Flour scattered across the counter like snow. Marcus. My husband of 32 years. The man I'd supported through every failed restaurant venture, every almost there catering business, every just need a little more time food truck dream. $2. 7 millions. I sat down hard on one of our kitchen chairs, the ones with the wobbly legs I kept meaning to fix but never had money for. Let me back up. I need to explain how we got here. I met Marcus in 1992 at a community college. I was 41, recently divorced, trying to rebuild my life with an associate's degree in accounting. He was taking a single business class, said he wanted to open a restaurant someday. He had this energy about him, this absolute certainty that he was meant to create beautiful food. On our third date, he cooked for me in his tiny apartment kitchen, duck confit. He'd saved for 2 months to buy the ingredients. I watched him move around that cramped space like it was a stage, and I thought, this man is going to do something special. We got married 6 months later, small ceremony. My daughter Sarah was there, 12 years old and sullen about her new stepfather. My son Michael had just turned 15 and barely spoke to anyone. "Mom, are you sure about this?" Sarah asked me while I was getting ready. "He doesn't even have a real job. He's going to culinary school," I told her. "He just needs time." That became my refrain for 3 decades. He just needs time. Marcus had big dreams and bigger plans. First, it was culinary school. I worked 2 jobs to pay for it while he studied. Then it was a sous chef position that paid barely anything, but he said he needed the experience. I picked up weekend bookkeeping gigs. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens. "When I'm executive chef," he'd say, pulling me close after another 16-hour shift. "When I have my own place, I'll take care of you. You'll never have to work again." I believed him. God, I believed him. In 1998, he got fired from that sous chef position. He came home at 2 in the afternoon, which was wrong. He never came home before midnight. His eyes were red. "Creative differences with the head chef," he said. "He doesn't understand vision." I held him while he cried. The next morning, I called my old boss and asked if I could come back full-time. That weekend, I started cleaning houses under the table. Marcus tried to start a catering business. I co-signed a loan for $15,000 to buy equipment. The business lasted 8 months. We were still paying off that loan 5 years later. "The market wasn't right," he explained. "People in this neighborhood don't appreciate elevated cuisine." My daughter Sarah was in college by then, state school, with loans because we couldn't help. She called every few weeks. "Mom, when are you going to stop enabling him?" "It's not enabling. It's supporting your partner. Dad worked every day of his life to support us. This isn't the same thing." I'd hang up angry. What did she know? She was 22. She didn't understand that marriage meant believing in someone, even when they didn't believe in themselves. In 2003, Marcus wanted to try a food truck. Food trucks were becoming trendy, he said. This was going to be our breakthrough. I refinanced our apartment. We'd finally scraped together a down payment in 2000 and took out $35,000. The truck lasted 14 months. Engine problems, permit issues, a lawsuit from a customer who claimed food poisoning, though it was never proven. I was 62 by then, still working full-time as a bookkeeper. My knees were starting to go. I'd developed arthritis in my hands. But I couldn't retire. We had debt. We always had debt. My son Michael stopped calling. When I finally reached him, he said, "Mom, I love you, but I can't watch this anymore. Call me when you're ready to leave him." "I'm not leaving your stepfather." "Then I guess we don't have anything to talk about." That broke something in me. But I told myself, Michael doesn't understand. Real love means sacrifice. In 2015, Marcus wanted to start a pop-up restaurant concept, rotating locations, special events. He'd been working as a line cook at a midtown bistro, good steady work, finally, but his soul was dying there, he said. He needed to create. How much? I asked. I was 64. I'd been planning to retire at 65. 50,000. Maybe a little more. But this time, honey, this time I know it'll work. I took out a loan against my 401k. The one thing I'd managed to save, reduced to $30,000 after a lifetime of work. The pop-up never even launched. The investor Marcus found backed out. The deposits on venues were non-refundable. I kept working. My retirement was gone. We were living paycheck to paycheck in a rent-controlled apartment in Queens. I was 67 years old, working 40 hours a week, with constant pain in my joints. "I'm so sorry," Marcus said that night, holding me. "I've let you down." "No," I told him, because that's what I always told him. "You're an artist. Artists struggle. Everyone knows that. What would I do without you?" I didn't answer. I was too tired. Last year, I had to have knee replacement surgery. The recovery was brutal. I was out of work for 6 weeks. We fell behind on rent. Marcus was working at a different restaurant by then, another line cook position, bringing home about $600 a week. It wasn't enough. I went back to work early, against doctor's orders. My knee never healed properly. I walk with a limp now. Sarah called on my 70th birthday last October. "Mom, please. Come live with me and Tom. We have the space. You don't have to work anymore." I can't leave Marcus. "Why not? What has he ever done for you?" I hung up on her. I didn't have an answer. 3 weeks ago, Marcus came home excited. A former culinary school classmate was opening a restaurant in Brooklyn. They needed an executive chef. The job was his if he wanted it. "It's only paying $75,000 to start," he said. "But it's a real kitchen, real creative control." I was sitting at our kitchen table, going through bills, trying to figure out how we'd make rent. At 70, I was still working full-time. My hands hurt so badly some days I could barely type. "That's wonderful," I said. And I meant it. Maybe finally things would get better. I told them I needed to think about it. I looked up. "Why?" "The hours, 6 days a week. I'd never see you." "Marcus, take the job." "You sure?" "We need the money." Something flashed across his face. Guilt? Shame? It was gone before I could identify it. "Okay," he said. "Okay, I'll take it." That was 2 weeks ago. This morning, I was making his favorite soup. I always made him soup when he was stressed and needed the big pot from the top shelf. That's when the paper fell out. $2. 7 millions. I sat there in our kitchen, surrounded by our shabby furniture, our ancient appliances, while the November sun cast long shadows across the floor. I was 70 years old. I'd worked 2 jobs for 32 years. I'd given up my retirement, my health, my relationship with my children. I was going to die working because we were broke. And my husband had $2.7 million. I heard his key in the lock. He was home early his last week at the old restaurant before starting the new job. "Honey?" he called out. "Something smells good." I didn't answer. I just held up the paper. He froze in the doorway. The color drained from his face. "I can explain. You have $2.7 million. My voice sounded strange, distant, like it was coming from someone else. "It's not, it's complicated." "Explain it to me." He set down his bag. Wouldn't meet my eyes. My grandmother left it to me when she died in 1995. We'd been married 3 years. "You've had this money for 28 years. I wanted to keep it separate. For emergencies." "Emergencies?" I stood up. My bad knee screamed in protest. "I worked 2 jobs to put you through culinary school. That wasn't an emergency?" "I wanted to do it on my own. I co-signed a loan for your catering business. We paid it off for 5 years. That wasn't an emergency? The business was supposed to succeed. I refinanced our apartment for your food truck." My voice cracked. "I took out a loan against my 401k. I don't have a retirement. I'm 70 years old and I'm going to die working because we're broke." "We're not broke," he said quietly. "I'm broke. You have $2.7 million. It was always ours. I just kept it in my name for tax purposes." Stop lying." Tears were streaming down my face. "You let me work myself into the ground. You let me destroy my knees, ruin my hands, lose my children. For what?" "I didn't want you to leave me." It came out as a whisper. I stared at him. If you knew I had money, you might have left. People always said you were too good for me. Your kids hated me. Everyone thought you'd wake up one day and realize you'd made a mistake. So you kept me dependent on you. No, I needed you to love me for me, not for money. Every woman I dated before you only cared about what I could provide. You were different. You loved me when I had nothing. I loved you when you had nothing because I thought we had nothing together. We did. We were a team. We weren't a team. I was working myself to death while you pretended to struggle. I grabbed the counter to steady myself. Do you know what I gave up for you? My daughter won't speak to me. My son barely acknowledges I exist. I'm in constant pain. I have no savings, no retirement. I can't afford to stop working because you convinced me we were poor. I'll give you half. Right now. We'll put it in your name. I don't want your money. The words came out as a scream. I want the last 30 years back. I want my knees back. I want my children back. My voice broke. I want to have mattered. But I didn't matter enough for you to tell me the truth. You matter more than anything. If that were true, you wouldn't have let me suffer. He tried to approach me. I held up my hand. Don't. Where are you going? I don't know. Away from you. I grabbed my purse and my phone. Walked out of that apartment, our apartment, that I'd sacrificed everything to keep for the last time. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. A cheap one, because old habits die hard. I'm sitting on the bed, looking at my phone. I have Sarah's number pulled up. I could call her. She'd come get me. She's been waiting for this call for 20 years. But then what? I move in with my daughter and son-in-law like a charity case? At 70? Starting over with nothing? Marcus has called 15 times. I haven't answered. His last text said, "Please come home. I'll do anything. I love you." And the terrible thing? The absolutely terrible thing? Part of me wants to believe him, because that's what I've done for 32 years. Believed him, believed in him, believed that love meant sacrifice and sacrifice meant love. But I'm 70 years old. My body is broken. My savings are gone. My children have built lives that don't include me. And I'm sitting in a $60 a night hotel room, realizing that I've spent my entire adult life supporting a man who didn't need support. He needed someone to need him. And I needed to be needed. We were both wrong. My phone buzzes. Marcus again. I turn it face down. Tomorrow, I'll figure out what comes next. Tonight, I'm just going to sit here and feel everything I've been too tired to feel for 3 decades. The grief, the rage, the betrayal, and underneath it all, the question I can't escape. If I'd known the truth 30 years ago, would I have stayed? I think I would have. That's the part that makes me angriest. Not at him, at myself. I hear my mother's voice in my head. She died 5 years ago, at 93, sharp until the very end. The last time I saw her, she held my hand with her papery fingers and said, "You're a good woman. Too good. Sometimes that's not a virtue." I didn't understand what she meant then. I do now. My phone lights up again. This time it's Sarah. Marcus must have called her. I answer. "Mom? Hi, sweetheart," Dad told me. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You tried to tell me. That doesn't make me happy about being right." I start crying again. Huge, gasping sobs. I wasted so much time. You didn't waste it. You loved someone. That's never a waste. He lied to me for 30 years. I know. I'm so tired, Sarah. I know, Mom. Come home. Come stay with us, please. I don't know if I can face you. After everything, Mom, I'm your daughter. That's all that matters. Come home. So I will. Tomorrow morning, I'll drive to Connecticut. I'll move into Sarah's guest room. I'll start figuring out what the rest of my life looks like. But tonight, I'm here, in this cheap hotel room, with the truth I spent 32 years avoiding. Love shouldn't cost everything you are. Real love doesn't demand that price. And if it does, then it isn't love at all. It's something else wearing love's face. I learned that at 70. I wish I'd learned it at 40. But maybe it's not too late. Maybe there's still time to figure out who I am without Marcus, without the constant weight of being needed. Maybe there's still time to just be me. I don't know who that is anymore, but I'm going to find out, starting tomorrow.